Good morning, students. Good morning, students.
Good morning, ma'am.
You're able to see the board?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Today's class, we are going to learn about an important concept again. That is nothing but database stored procedures and functions. Right? Last class, last theory class, just to give you a quick recap on that, we had started with the concept of what is a view or what is a virtual table, right? Then we saw what are the benefits of virtual table, how we can create a virtual table from a single table. We can also create a view from multiple tables. Both this kind of examples we saw. And we also saw that there are two types of views. That is, one is a readable view, read-only view, and the other one is a updatable view. And again, in terms of updation, we saw how we can do an insertion, we can do a deletion, or rather dropping the view, and we can also do an updation. But there are certain conditions on what updations are possible, how the insertions are done. There are certain conditions, there are certain limitations. You cannot do all the operations on a view like the way you do it on the table. Okay, so that is and we saw an example of all these things. That's what we learned in the last class. Any doubts on any queries or doubts on views concept? Anyone? If there are no questions, then we'll proceed with the next topic, next important topic, which is database stored procedures and functions. Right? Now, first of all, let us see what exactly is a stored procedure or what exactly is a function. All this is important because our lab cycle also, we have, yesterday we saw that in the last program, we saw we have three queries, wherein the two queries are on stored procedures and one is on trigger. So first let us learn first theoretically how this stored procedure works, and then we'll take up those queries probably in the next week. Okay, right. So now, what exactly is a stored procedure? Let us try to understand that. Now, generally, in case of whenever we talk about any kind of database programming, okay, the basic assumption is always that there are two systems, obviously, the client and the server, correct? And what basic assumption is what always your database application runs on the client machine, and you have the server where your main database software is located, right? Always it is like this. Most of the applications, what we do, the application runs on the client side, client machine, whereas your database software and main part of the DBMS software package and all is located in the server. Now, this is suitable for many applications, okay, but it is also sometimes useful, to create some database program modules. Now, these modules are called as procedures. You can also call them as functions. Okay. Now, what are these? It is sometimes, I said, useful to create some kind of modules which you call as procedures or functions. Now, these are going to be stored and executed, right, at the server itself. There is no concept of application running in the client and the machine running or the software running at the server. That is not there. What I said, you are going to write some, it may be suitable for certain application. It may be a requirement. What is a requirement? That you create some kind of program modules, right? These program modules are called as procedures or functions. These procedures or functions are going to be stored and executed at the database server. Now, these are known as stored procedures or functions. Right? So, let me repeat what I am trying to say. Okay, let me finish this. These are also called as persistent stored modules, or you call it as PSM. Persistent stored module means these programs are going to be stored persistently. Persistently means what? Continuously, okay, by the DBMS. Similar to data, DBMS always stores some kind of data, but it will also store these kind of programs, or these procedures are also stored. You call them as persistent stored modules. Okay. Now let me again tell you what I told till now. I said that whenever we talk about any database programming, there is always two aspects, the client side and the server side. And we are always under the assumption as to what? The application always runs on the client side, and your database software, the main part of your DBMS package, all that runs on the server. Yes, that's fine. So you are given a user ID password to log into the server. You can access your DBMS server, and then you are trying to run the application as a client. Whereas your DBMS server as a software package is actually running on the server machine, right? This is what we have been so far telling about database programming techniques, right? Now, sometimes what may happen for certain applications, it may be useful for us to create something called as database program modules. Okay, you try to create some program modules. Program module means what? It is nothing but your procedures or functions, similar to your procedure or a function that you write in your C program, right? So you are trying to create some program modules, some procedures or functions. Okay, now these procedures or functions are going to be stored and executed also at the server itself. Okay, now the such procedures or functions, you call it as stored procedures, or you call them as stored procedures or functions. Okay, they are also called as persistent stored modules, or you call them as PSM. Right? Now, why do we need this stored procedure? We saw what is a stored procedure. Next, we go into why do we require a stored procedure? Any doubts still here? Any questions? Any questions, anyone? What is the stored procedure? You want me to repeat or something like that?
Repeat.
Okay, fine. See, when we talk about database programming, always, what are you doing in your in our lab setup also here? What we do, we give a user ID and password to every user. So every user or every student, let us say, is represented as a client. That means you are given a user ID and password in order to access the DBMS server or the DBMS software, which is running in a different machine, which you call it as a server. You are a client, you are trying to access the DBMS software package, which is running on a server machine, right? Generally, when we talk about DBMS application programs, We have the application running on the client machine. The system or the DBMS software itself is running on a server machine. So there is always a client server concept there. Okay, but sometimes for certain applications, it may be necessary that we try to write some programs and store it in the server itself. Not only store, we also execute it in the server itself. Okay, we try to write some small chunks of program. When I say small chunk of program, we call it as a module. So we try to write some modules, program modules, and try to store it in the database in the server machine. We don't make use of any client at all. Okay, we not only store it in the server, we also execute it at the server only. Okay, such modules, program modules, you call it as procedures, or you can even call it as functions. Now, these procedures or functions or program modules, you call them as stored procedures or functions. You also call them as persistent stored modules or PSM. Why is this required is what we are going to see now. Is it clear to all of you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Now, let us move on to why is this stored procedure required? Before we go into further details, let us try to understand what is the benefit of this. When is it going to be useful? In what circumstances this stored procedure is going to be useful? Right? Now, first one is C. For example, if a particular database program, let us say you have written a particular procedure, you have written a particular function. Now, suppose that is needed by several applications. Suppose that is required by several applications. Then what you can do, you can store it at the server and invoke it by any application. Correct? So this will reduce what? It will reduce the duplication of effort. I can simply store the, for example, I have, let us say, what I can give example of, it is something like a subroutine you have written, or a particular procedure you have written, let us say, to calculate the income tax. You have written a procedure. Now, this calculation of income tax, this particular program module could be required by many applications, not just one application. Or let us say calculation of budget, something like that. So calculation of budget is required by many applications, not just one application. So in that case, what happens? I will store this calculation of budget as a program, this particular budget program, I will store it in the server. So when I store it in the server, it can be invoked by whichever application requires it, something like plug and play, right? So that will reduce your duplication of effort. I can invoke, this is stored in the server, so I can, any application can invoke this particular program and use it for budget calculation. That is a very important, benefit of stored procedure. Right? Are you getting me? So when I write a program, let us say I'm writing a very important program which is required by many applications. For example, as I told you, it is calculation of budget. Or let us say I am trying to calculate the CGPA of students. Now, when I say CGPA of students, it is going the formula that is used for calculating CGPA is going to be same throughout the university, whichever college it is, whichever department it is. Let us say. Right? Only thing that will change is your marks, students' marks. So I give the students' marks, I give the grades, I give the credits, I am able to calculate the CGPA. Now, this calculation of CGPA is a general program, is a generic program. Okay. Now, I don't want every application of the database to write this program and use one copy of it. Not required. I'll store this program in the server, so that any application that wants this particular program can invoke this application, or you can invoke this particular program and start using it. Okay, I will store this particular program in the server. Whichever application wants to use this CGPA program can invoke this in the server and start using it. That way, I will reduce the duplication of effort. It will also improve the software performance. Right? So that is one benefit of using stored procedures. Next is what I told you, that stored procedures or this persistent stored modules, PSM. No? what I told for this, I said we are going to execute the program at the server itself. We are storing it and executing it at the server itself. So when I do it at the server itself, it is going to reduce any kind of data transfer that is required. I need not do any kind of data transfer. I need not do any kind of, communication between the client and the server. It is not required because I'm storing it, I'm executing it at the server only. So I'm reducing on data transfer, I'm reducing on the communication cost. These things are getting reduced. That is one more important benefit of using a stored procedures. Okay, so what did I say? The second one, since I'm executing the program I'm storing the program in the server, I'm executing it also in the server. So I need not transfer this program to any of the client. Data transfer is not required. There I can avoid on any kind of communication cost between the client and the server. Right? Next. Right? Now, this can enhance the modeling. That means the way you model your program, the way you model your program architecture, it can try to improve this because you are allowing different viewers to use this particular program by making use of, you can use any complex types of derived data. All these things is possible. Okay, many of the commercial DBMS, they allow stored procedures and function. Even Oracle allows stored procedures and function. You can write these stored procedures and functions in a general purpose language. You need not write it in a query language. You can write it in a general purpose programming language like C, C++. You can write it, no problem. You can write it using general purpose programming language. Alternatively, you can also use SQL commands like retrieves and updates in order to, you can write a stored procedure using SQL commands also. There can be two ways of writing it. One using general purpose programming language. Another one, you can also write a stored procedure using SQL. You can use all your SQL commands like retrieves, how do you want to retrieve it, update it, all that. Right? So this is the benefits of using a stored procedure functions. Let me repeat. The first benefit that I said is it will save the duplication of effort. Avoid the duplication of effort because I said I'm writing a very generic program. I'm going to store that application or store that particular program in the server. So any application that requires this general computation program can invoke it and try to use it, right? So I need not have multiple copies of this particular program. That's one advantage. The second advantage is, since I'm executing the program at the server itself, I need not, I can save on the data transfer. I can save on the communication cost between the client and the server. I need not worry about how to transfer this between the server and the client. Okay, there I need not set up a communication between client and server in order to do or execute this particular application. Right. So that is the second advantage. The third requirement of a stored procedure is you can make use of complex types of derived data. Okay. You can make use of complex types of derived data to be made available to the database user. Because what happens sometimes in the client side, certain facilities may not be supported. Your client machine may be such that it may not support certain data types. So because of that, you may not be able to do some kind of complex programming. But since now you are executing at the server itself, that problem can be avoided. Any complex data type can be used because you are running it on the server side only. So the way you have done your program, the way you have modeled your software or application can be more enhanced. It can be complex, right? That is another advantage. Then I told you the last point is you can write these stored procedures either using general purpose programming language or you can even write it using SQL commands. Any doubts so far? Any questions, anyone? Any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Others? Any questions? Any doubts? We saw what is a stored procedure and function. We saw why is it required and what is the benefit of that. So before I proceed further, if you have any questions, I'll take it up. Otherwise, let me proceed further. Okay. Next, I will tell you what is the general form of declaring a stored procedure. How do we declare a stored procedure? I said now how we can make use of a stored procedure. How do we declare it? Okay. So let us look at the syntax first. So create, we give here create procedure, and then the procedure will always have a procedure name. Create procedure, procedure name. Within the brackets, I am giving here parameters. Okay. Then I have local declarations, and then we have the procedure body. Sorry. Okay, this is the general form of creating a stored procedure. Create procedure, procedure name. You can also write function. If you are creating a function, we can write a function also, right? So I'll show you that also. So create procedure, procedure name. You are trying to pass some parameters, and then local declaration, procedure body. Here, this parameters and local declaration. Okay, these two are optional. If you want, you can pass parameters. If you don't want to pass any parameters, depending on the application it is. If you are not passing any parameters, you can drop that. Local declaration, if you are not using any kind of local variables, you need not define any of them. They are specified only if it is needed, we specify it. Otherwise, we don't. Okay. Now, when you try to declare a function requires what? It requires a return type, is it not? So let us say if you are trying to declare a function, then you will have create function. Instead of procedure, I will be using the name function. Function, and then function will have a function name. Okay. Then here also you will have parameters. You can pass the parameters. Right? And then returns. Function will always have a return type, is it not? So we have to write here returns, return type. Returns is a keyword. You have to specify the return type. And then again you have local declaration. Function body. Because we are writing a function, we call it as a function body. And then a semicolon. Right? So this is how you declare a function. You can either have a procedure or you can have a function. Only difference is if you are writing a function, you should always have a return type. Obvious that is. So whenever we are writing a function, we should have a return type. Is it not? So returns return type. Right? So returns, there is a keyword here. Returns return type. And then we have local declaration and then function body. Okay, here also again parameters and local declarations are they are optional. If you are passing parameters, you can give it, otherwise you can drop. If you are making use of any local variables, then you try to declare it in that function, otherwise you can drop it. Okay, now if you are, I told you that the stored procedures and functions, you can write it either in general purpose language, that is C-like language you can write. You can write it in any of the general purpose language, or you can even write it using query language. Either of this you can use. Okay, but if you are writing a procedure in general purpose language, you have to specify which language you are using and the file name also. For example, if you are using if you are writing using general purpose language, right, then we have to, let me show you the syntax. Create procedure, procedure name, all this is the same, okay, and then you are trying to pass some parameters, okay, then you have to specify which language you are using. Language, you have to specify the programming language name. Okay, then you should also give the file name where the program code is stored. You would have stored it somewhere, no? That file name you should give. How do you give it? You give it here as external name, and then a file path name you have to give. Means wherever you have stored this particular code, okay, that you have to specify. What is this? I said your stored procedure can be written either in general purpose language or you can do it in SQL. Okay. If you are writing it in a general purpose language, then it is required that you mention the language, which language you are using, and the file path. File path name means where you have stored that particular code, that you have to mention. So whenever you are writing a stored procedure using a general purpose language, the syntax is slightly different compared to when you write it using the SQL or when you write it using SQL. Right? Is it clear? So if you are writing using general purpose language, you have to specify the language name and then file path name. Right. Now, we have mentioned here, any doubts, any questions still here? Every time I do something, I am stopping and asking. If you have any doubts, you can ask me there. Otherwise, we'll proceed. Any questions, any doubts? We have just seen this.
Ma'am, declaration and ma'am, body is not necessary for the general purpose language, no?
It is there. It is there. That also it is there. See, when you see there, in that case, when you write a general purpose language, in the programming language code, you are specifying external path name, file path name, you are specifying. That indicates where you have stored the program, right? So in that itself, in that program itself, you would have written everything, no? Local declaration, the body of the program, everything will come there only.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Any questions, anyone? Okay. So now here we have specified parameters, correct? Now, each parameter, we have specified some parameters right here, both everywhere, procedure, whether you write it in general purpose or SQL, we have specified parameters. Now, each parameter will have what is called as will have a parameter type. Okay. Now, this parameter type is of the SQL, one of the SQL data type. Now, if you remember, when we spoke about SQL data types, we saw there are so many data types in SQL. So, every parameter that you are specifying, you should also specify a parameter type. This parameter type is one of your SQL type. It can be varchar, it can be number, it can be date, it can be character, anything. Okay, one of the type, because every parameter will also have a type. Now, apart from this, each parameter will also have something called as parameter mode. Parameter mode is what? Parameter mode can be of three types: in, out, then in, out. These are the three modes of parameter. Okay, what does this mean? There are three modes I said: in, out, and in, out. What does this mean? Parameters whose values are input only, input parameters, then I will make use of in. Output parameters only, that means they will return the values, return the results, then I would call them as output parameters. Or your parameter can be both, it can behave both as an input parameter as well as an output parameter. Then I have to specify it as in out. Is it clear? Every parameter should have a parameter type. Parameter type is nothing but the SQL data type, that one of the SQL data type that each parameter should take. Right? So we have seen different data types like number, varchar, tochar, date, time, all these things are different types of parameters. Apart from the parameter type, every parameter is also having a mode. Now this parameter mode is of three types. It can be in, it can be out, it can be in out. If your parameters are only input parameters, then it is you have to make use of in. If your parameters are going to only return the results, it is used for return or output purpose, then you are going to write it as out. If it is used for both input as well as output, then you write it as in out. Right? So that is about parameter types and mode. Next is, now, since your procedures or functions are stored in the DBMS, you are storing it in the server, correct? So it should be possible to call them from various SQL interfaces and the programming technique. That means when suppose you are writing a subroutine, you are calling that subroutine, you are calling that procedure, you are calling that function, correct? So similarly here also, you should be able to call. So there is a call statement in the SQL standard, which can be used to invoke a procedure. Invoke means you are calling that particular stored procedure. You have written a stored procedure. You have stored it in the server. Now, some application needs this particular program. So you can invoke it by using the call statement. Right? So how do I call it? Call. I write here. Syntax is procedure, or it can be function name also. You can either call a procedure or you can call a function, and then I will try to pass some arguments. This will be your argument list. Semicolon. Okay. Call procedure or function name followed by argument list. This is about how you call a particular. It is not enough if you are going to write and store that procedure in the server. You should be able to invoke it. Any application should be able to invoke that procedure, call that procedure. Is it not? Functions we call. Is it not? Similarly, we can call these stored procedures. Any doubts? Will you have? So we saw what is a stored procedure. What is a stored procedure or a function basically? What are the benefits of stored procedure? Why it is actually required to us, right? Then we went into the general form of how do we declare a stored procedure. So we write create procedure, procedure name, followed by parameters, local declaration, procedure body. Either you can declare a procedure like that or function. Difference is what? You will always have a return type in case of function if you are using function. So you have to write returns return type, then followed by local declaration function body, right? Then I also told you that procedures and functions or your stored procedures and functions can be written using general purpose language or it can be SQL. Okay, so when you're writing it in general purpose language, you should also specify which language you are using it. So we make use of language programming language name, and we should also represent the path name where we have stored that particular code. So for that we use external name file path name. That's about declaration. Then coming to, we have written parameters. So parameter, I said every parameter should be followed by a parameter type. So parameter type means it can be any of the SQL data type that we have seen. Then every parameter will also have a parameter mode. Parameter mode can be in, out or in, out. Right? So input parameters means we make use of in, output parameters out. If the parameters are both, then we make use of in, out. Then since we have stored this procedure in the server, any application should be able to invoke this particular procedure. So we make use of call statement. Similar to we call a procedure in the C language, we call a subroutine. Similar to that, we can use a call statement in order to call or invoke the stored procedures and function. So call, procedure or function name followed by the argument list that you are going to pass. Right. So far we have seen this much. Any questions? Any doubts? Anyone? No questions? Right. Let me proceed. Now, I told you that we can try to write stored procedure. We have discussed how we can create stored procedures and functions. Now, in order to make it more powerful, you can also make use of some programming constructs. So when I say programming construct, we can use some branching, we can use some looping. All this is also possible, right? So we can use some kind of conditional branching or looping is possible in case of stored procedures. So how can we write this? Suppose I have if condition. I can write an if condition. I can make use of an if condition in the stored procedures or functions. If condition, then statement list. This is only the syntax. We'll try to see some examples. Okay. Else if. Okay. Else if condition. Then statement list. Like that, you can have any levels of nesting. I can go on writing else if conditions. And what is the action to be taken? That will be followed in the statement list. Else, if I don't want any if for that again, then I can simply write else. Statement list, and then finally I will say end if, right, followed by semicolon. This is how you try to give a, you can make use of such kind of control structures also in stored procedures. Okay, let us see an example. Okay, I will number the statements. Create, I'm taking create function. Function name is department size. Okay, I'm passing some arguments in department number, and then that is of the type integer. As per our syntax, what we should do here, we have to pass parameters, correct? And I told you parameters will have parameter type, it will also have parameter mode. This is the department number, this is the name of the parameter. This is the integer is the data type. We have shown it as in. In means it is a parameter mode. That means it is used as an input parameter. All right. Now, this is a function. So you have to have return type. Returns, I will give, what is the return type here? I am giving varchar or varchar2 of 7, something like that I will give. Okay. Next we had what? Declaration statements. Is it not? Local declarations, right? Let me use a local variable, declare. I will use, this is my local variable, number of employees. What is the data type of this integer? Okay, next. Select. Then I write my procedure body. Count of star into sorry, this is not that. From, this is my procedure body, okay? From employee, where these are all your SQL statements. D number is equal to department number. Now, I will now make use of a condition. If my local variable is number of EMPs, right, is greater than 100, then statement list, is it not? This is a function, so it can return a data type. I have declared return data type, return type, I have declared it as varchar, correct? I will write it as huge. I will explain this again to you, don't worry. Else if number of employees is 25, then I will return large. Okay, then else if again is greater than 10, then return medium. Okay, else return small. Then end if. Okay, now carefully look at this program. This is we have declared a function. Create function, function name. What is the name of the function? It is department size is the name of the function. Okay, when you compare it with our syntax, what did we write? Create function, function name, parameter list. Is it not? Look at this parameter list here. We have written department number, DEPTNO. Department number is a parameter here. And I told you what? Every parameter should have a parameter type and a parameter mode. Correct? So what is the data type of this parameter? It is nothing but integer. So it is going to be an integer parameter. What is a mode? It is a in. In means input parameter. Right? Now, next, since it is a function, what we should do? We have to create a, we have to specify a return type, correct? So returns, what is the return type here? Varchar of 7. Then we come to the local declarations. So what is the local variables that we are declaring? Declare number of employees. This number of employees is a local variable, okay? Which is of the type again, integer, okay? Then we give the function body. So this whole thing forms your function body, right? What are we doing? Select count of star into number of employees. So from employee table where D number is equal to department number. That is our query here. Whatever is the count, that means how many ever count of star into number of employees. Remember, we have declared this. See here, number of employees is a local variable. Into means I'm going to place this count of star, whatever result is there, that I will place it in number of employees. From employee where department number is equal to department number. Now this department number, if you see, it is an input variable. That means you should have accepted from the user what is the department number for which we have to count the employees or we have to display this. That department number you are checking with the one which is there in the table. D number is an attribute in the table, employee table. Okay. Department number is the value that you have accepted from the user. Enter the department number. So you are entering some department number. For that particular department, let us say you are entering department number 5. For that department number, I am counting the number of employees. Count of star. And I will place it into number of employees, which is my local variable. This number of employees variable is not there in my table. It is a local variable. That is why we have declared it here. Okay, now I have, let us say, count of employee from count of star. I am storing it into number of employees from employee where D number is equal to D number. So let us say in department number 5, number of employees is 120. This is the number I have stored it in number of employees. Now, I am going to check and return something if number of employees greater than 100. We have already counted how many employees are there and we have stored it in number of employees here, right? Now, whatever is the number of employee there, now we are going to check. If it is greater than 100, then we will return huge. What is our return type? Return type is varchar of 7 characters. It is a string, so we will return huge. Else if number of employees greater than 25, then we return large. Else if it is greater than 10, then we return it as medium. Else if nothing is there, if it is less than 10, then I simply return it as small. End if. That's all. This is a simple example of a function. So what is this function doing? Department size is the name of the function. Department number is what is the variable that we have, parameter that we have given here. It is an input parameter. That means you should accept the value for this department number from the user. That is why we have specified it as int. Data type is integer. Okay, returns. Since we have declared a function here, it should always have a return type. What is the return type here? Varchar, that is a string. And then we are doing some local declarations. Local declaration means what we are doing? Number of employees is one of the variable that we are declaring it as a local variable, which means it is not there in the table. We are declaring it here for the sake of our computation purpose. What is the data type of that? It is integer. Then we are writing a query. Procedure body, it starts from the statement number 3. So first we are writing a query. Select count of star into number of employees. Means we are trying to count. See, select count of star from employee where department number is equal to department number. DEPTNO we have accepted from the user. Let us say it is 5. Now we are going to count the number of records in that department. How many ever records are there? That many employees are there. Correct? That we are going to store it in number of employees. And then we check, we use some if conditional branching we are using here. We check for each of these conditions and then we return either it is huge or it is large or it is medium. If none of them are there, then we write it as small. This is how we write a simple function. Any doubts, anyone? Any questions? Any questions, any doubts in any of these lines? No doubts? Okay. So now this, let me, we can, here we have made use of, I have shown you the syntax of else if else condition, and then we have also seen an example on that, right? We can also use while condition. We can also have some repeat loop, while loop. These are also possible in case of stored procedures. Let us just see the syntax of that. Okay. How can we make use of? We can also make use of this while and repeat. Let us just see the syntax. While condition, do, statement list, end while. Okay. This is the syntax for using. You can also use a while, you can use a for, repeat, all this also possible. We can also write repeat statement, repeat statement list, until condition. End repeat. What's the difference between while and repeat? What's the difference? While loop and repeat until. Repeat until is like something like do while. Anyone? What's the difference between
Ma'am, while
repeat?
will first check the condition and then execute the statement if it's
Hmm.
true. And repeat, first it will execute the statement and then check if it's true.
Very good, very good. Yes. While will first check the condition. If the condition is true, then only it will get into this statement list and execute it. If the condition is false at the first iteration itself, it won't enter the loop only, it will just come out. Repeat is not like that. Repeat statement list until condition means what? Even if the condition is false, the statement is going to get executed once. It will first execute because it is executing first without even checking, it is executing. After first executing the statement only, it will come and check the condition. So first time itself, if the condition is even if it is false, it will first execute it. Once at least it will execute. But while condition, it will not execute at all. First it will check the condition. Only if it is true, it will get into the loop. Otherwise, it will just simply come out of the loop. That's the difference between while and repeat. Yes. So this can also be written. You can also have a cursor-based looping. Cursor-based looping means cursor-based looping means, for example, for every row in the query result you want to execute. The loop is executed once for every row, for every tuple. Then you make use of cursor. It is something like your for loop. You will write it as for loop name. As we'll be using probably, I think this one in our lab. Let me see. As cursor name, cursor for query do statement list. End for. Okay. So for loop is like cursor based looping is something like you make use of a for loop. When do we use this? As I told you already, if you have such that a loop is executed once for every time, every tuple you want to execute this loop, then you make use of this cursor based looping. Loop can have names. So for example, I have given here loop name. You can also have something called as leave loop name. Leave loop name means you want to break a loop when a condition is satisfied. Something like break statement, that is nothing but leave a loop. So these kind of constructs or programming constructs also can be used in case of stored procedures. Right? So that's about stored procedure. So we saw what is a stored procedure and function, what are the benefits or why do we require it. Yeah, we saw why we require stored procedures, what is stored procedure. Then we saw how do we declare a procedure, how do we declare a function. If we are using a general purpose language, then how do we make use of it. Then we talked about parameters And then we saw what is a call statement in order to invoke it, right? Then we also saw that we can make use of some programming constructs, looping and all that. So conditional branching, looping, we saw an example. It can also be replaced with your while condition repeat until. Okay. We can also have cursor based looping wherein it is similar to our for loop. Any questions? Any doubts? Anyone? Yeah. Answer your attendance, Ananda.
Yes, ma'am.
Abhilash.
Yes, ma'am.
Akhil. Akrut.
Yes, ma'am.
Anusha.
Yes, ma'am.
Aravind.
Present, ma'am.
Arifullah.
Yes, ma'am.
Dhanaka.
Present, ma'am.
Banu. Banu Prakash is not there. Bhargav.
Yes, ma'am.
Ramtula is, yeah. Okay. Ramtula is present. Chaitra.
Present, ma'am.
Charan.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, Chandana present, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. Darshan.
Present, ma'am.
Diksha.
Present, ma'am.
Shiny.
Present, ma'am.
Kishan.
Present, ma'am.
Harshit.
Present, ma'am.
Hema.
Present, ma'am.
Kumar.
Present, ma'am.
Jayant.
Present, ma'am.
Divya is present. Kaushik.
Present, ma'am.
Lakshmi.
Present, ma'am.
Lavanya.
Present, ma'am.
Manish.
Present, ma'am.
Manoj.
Yes, ma'am.
Mohit. Naval.
Present, ma'am.
Navya.
Present, ma'am.
Nikhil.
Present, ma'am.
Panindra.
Present, ma'am.
Pavan.
Yes, ma'am. Present, ma'am.
Pooja. Purnima.
Present,
Raman.
Present, ma'am.
Rashmi.
present, ma'am.
Rupak.
Yes, ma'am.
Sameer.
Sai Kumar, present.
Sorry. Sai Kumar, yes, sorry. Sai Kumar. Sameer.
Present, ma'am.
Present, ma'am.
Yeah. Santosh.
Present, ma'am.
Shadab.
Present, ma'am.
Sharan. Shashank.
Present, ma'am.
Sheetal.
Present, ma'am.
Shivani. Shivani.
Present, ma'am.
Soumya.
Present, ma'am.
Spurti.
Present, ma'am.
Vishnu.
Present, ma'am.
Sugandhini.
Present, ma'am.
Sushma.
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita BS.
Present, ma'am.
Sushmita U.
Present, ma'am.
Tirtha.
Present, ma'am.
Tripti.
Present, ma'am.
Varsha. Veena.
Present, ma'am.
Varsha. Okay. Varsha is present, Sharon is present, Pooja present, Banu present, Mohit is present, Divya is present, Rahmatullah is present. Who is absent there? Yeah, all are present. Right. Right. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, students.
Thank you, ma'am.